All right, everyone, welcome into HiBruiNation. I'm Goosey, your host, joined by my co-host, as always, in the Chavo, Mr. Hattie. We are back from the Olympic break after an amazing gold medal game or games by both U.S. teams, and we have been hungry for some Bruins hockey, right, fellas?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Sturm's focus post-Olympic break, the weekly game recap, and some final trade deadline talk because it is looming. It is going to be this Friday.
Saturday,
and the
right?
deadline. Nope, Friday.
No,
Seventh.
Friday, yeah. Friday at 3:30. That's the official
I thought it was March 7th.
Nope, March 6th. It is this Friday. Yeah, and but before we get started on that, gotta give some quick recognition to the U.S. men's Olympic team for winning their first gold medal since 1980 to the date at the 2026 Winter Olympics. That happened last Sunday. It's a little bit of old news, but also big congratulations to the women's hockey team as well for capturing their gold medal, both against Canada. Two very solid teams, it's a little old, but can't really go without a little credit there, right, guys? I mean, what'd you guys think of the two gold medal games?
Definitely a little eerie that it was 2-1 in overtime. That's just a way to top it off. But yeah, I mean, you can't be happier as a hockey fan, as a U.S. hockey fan. We've been waiting for this, for our dominance to come back to the main stage, to the forefront, and here it is. The women's program has been a little bit more dominant than men's as of late. You got to give them their credit there, and it's been a long time coming for the men's team to be getting a gold medal. And it's kind of crazy that it was exactly 4 or 6 years since they beat the Soviets, the same exact date. So I loved it. I loved the entire Olympics. I didn't watch too many of the other sports, but I watched some skiing, some curling, some bobsledding as well. Just the Olympic Games are incredible, especially the winter ones. And the hockey was just as incredible. It was very high paced, very tenacious hockey, and just awesome to see the U.S. come out on top, both getting gold and gold in overtime. So pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, the women, USA women and Canada women have been going back and forth in this heated rivalry, so to say, for a few decades, where they'll trade off golds every couple of years, where, that's more exciting, right? It's like there are saving grace, so to say, of gold medal, hockey. But it's nice to finally see, for the first time in my entire life, we were a bride, not a bridesmaid, with constantly finishing in second place. And
incredible.
I mean, it's the truth though. Like I was looking at the stats of it, and it's just like, cool, 1980 Lake Placid gold, and then silver, 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 and it's like, God, I want to shoot myself. Like, I hate this. Like, can we just please win gold one more time? Like, why does it take 46 years? Like, what was it, 1960, 1980, 2026? Why is it like at least 20 years between getting gold medals? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, USA born players are not a joke anymore, and they haven't been a joke for the past probably 30 years. So why is it taking this long to finally get like a gold medal?
Steve just gets never tired of winning. That's the thing.
You know why? Because why? Winning is fun. Winning is fun, guys.
Bruins, take notes.
Like,
no, but I think the U.S. men and U.S. men's Olympic team and the Canada Olympic team, they've been headlocked in a very intense rivalry over the years as well. Yep. And Canada's just had their number for so long. And of course, it's Canada. They are the tippy top, the best of the best. And that gold medal game,
sport.
Yeah, it is. Well, for the time being, not anymore. But
not for the next 4 years.
Not for the next 4 years. Suck it. But that was such a tightly contested game. I think Canada won a lot more of the puck battles and pushing the pace of the game. I think the U.S. players weren't shy to say that Canada played better that night, or maybe it was the better team coming out of it. But ultimately,
We had the better goalie.
we had the better goalie. We had Hellebuck, who
Stood on
literally
his head.
who signed in to the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He is like, that is my position now. I own that. So,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He played such an outstanding game. The fact that he only will let in one goal, and like all of the incredible saves that he just had, like he's the only reason why we were gold medalists. Like,
and shout out to the women's goalie as well. She only let up
Yeah,
3 goals the
massive.
entire tournament. She had like a 980 save percentage. Absolutely unreal.
3
Like,
goals in the entire tournament is a wild stat.
Yeah. They
Wild.
were such a powerhouse. And I think they were the favorites going into it. And that their game against Canada was shaky at times. Canada also was the better team for like 56 minutes out of the game. And then the US finally was able to crack them. They got a clutch tip in by grizzled vet Hillary Knight. And
Grizzled vet. She is the veteran presence. Oh my
yeah,
god.
exactly. She's been in like every Olympics since like
For 20
2010.
years.
Yeah,
24 years.
pretty much going on it. Yeah, like she's dynamite, man. She has been one of my favorite women's players for a while now. And she came up clutch, tipped it in, and as we saw in both games, guys, 3-on-3 overtime to decide a gold medal.
Ugh.
That's
Gross.
something. That's something.
See,
Yeah.
See, that's the only problem I had with the Olympic gold medal game. It was a wonderful game. Both games was amazing. Two juggernauts going at it. You love to see it. There's really no complaints from me outside of the fact that I just wish both those games went to 5-on-5. There's a reason why the Stanley Cup is a 7-game series and why continuous OT 5-on-5 is a thing. I just think it's, the Olympics need to learn something from the NHL, and they need to adapt to that 5-on-5 continuous OT. It's just, you have to. That's hockey. 3v3 for me. It's not it. I'll take the win for both games, but for me, it's just one thing I hope going forward. I'm pretty sure that all the hockey world, or if not most of them, agree that 5-on-5 you have to do it in a game like that.
It didn't feel like the justifiable, it when you have a game of that magnitude and with the stakes on the line, you want the playing fields to be as even and propped up as they can be. And I think 3-on-3,
It's a
messes
different
with
game.
that. It is. It's completely.
It's a completely different game than 5-on-5, and that's
it's different than the first 60 minutes you played. Now all of a sudden you're going into pond hockey, like arcade, and you can play that in NHL. That's fun, but when you have real life stakes on the line, I don't know. I question it as well, because it doesn't feel authentic. In a way it kind of does, because it's pond hockey, but exactly. I think you made a good point, Cam. The Olympics should, hopefully next time come around, we'll pay a little more attention to how the NHL does it. That's the biggest stage as well. That's how the championships are decided. You got to play continuous 5-on-5.
And listen, if that's my only gripe, that's not that bad. I think the entire tournament was well done, but the whole reasoning behind the 3v3, and like Steve said too, you point out that it's an entirely different game. Not only is it an entirely different game, but it's an entirely different game with the best players in the world on the ice. And so now you're having these elite scoring talents. You're
having the elite of the elite.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
And so, a goal is bound to be scored within the first 5 minutes. They're not going to dilly-dally. They're going to get it done. And, as good as Hellebuck was, and even as good as Jordan Binnington was, and, forgive me, I don't, recall the names of the two women goaltenders either, but even they, they'll crack, eventually. That's not easy. It's a whole lot of ice, and, but again, I would say it's more exhilarating 3v3 because it's high nerves, but I don't think it's the hockey or the hockey nerves you want to experience. And that's just the one thing that I hope the Olympics learn from it. Going forward. Outside of that, wonderful tournament. Great job to all teams involved. Great job to in the gold medal game to our counterparts, up in Canada. They played great. They played phenomenal, and I can't wait
Congrats
to
to
see.
Finland too. I think they got it with the bronze, right? Yeah,
And
congrats Finland, man. And that's we got to see our fellow Bruins outside of McAvoy get a medal as well. So you gotta like that.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like you guys, I'm probably looking forward to 2030, and let's see what comes of it. You never know. It's a one game, single game. Everything has to get left out there, so it's definitely something to look forward to.
I'm absolutely using my PTO in 4 years to go to the Olympics. I'm serious. Like I'm gonna in 2 years I'm gonna start marking those days off in the calendar, because that just getting to see it on the world stage and seeing those players play against each other in such tightly contested hockey, best on best, playing for the country, on their backs. Really, it would be amazing, as someone who's loved hockey their entire life and getting to watch that in person, that's an A+ experience. So
I hope it's better in 2030.
Okay, wow, that's a hot take.
It's gonna be in France. It's gonna be in France, right? So we'll see.
In France. I hope it's better. Like, to be honest with y'all, I was not impressed with the group stage, at all. It was good hockey, but I was just not impressed. Germany didn't show up. There's a handful of teams that are good, and there's a handful of teams that are I'm sorry to say, they lack talent and they can't compete with other teams that have all of the talent, right? It's kind of, yes, it's the Olympics, but when USA is playing Germany, that game was boring to me. It's cool, a dominant win by USA.
It was close for a little bit, and then they pulled away. But yeah, I guess it could have.
In Canada too. Exciting. I think the best game of the Olympics was Canada, Czechia. That was the most entertaining game because it was so close and it was going back and forth.
Czechia could have won again. I think you simulate that game 9 out of 10 times. Czechia wins 7 or 8 times, and then you get Canada a few of the other outcomes too. But Czechia played that game really well. They played strong. They tried parking the bus and doing a team like that against Canada. It's most likely not going to work, but they almost did it. So
hey guys, one bad day just takes one bad day for it to go sour. You know what I mean? The US almost got ousted. Canada almost got ousted. Sometimes it just takes one bad day, one bad game.
The US-Sweden game was really good too. That Sweden could have easily won that, and then all of a sudden Sweden's onto the playing maybe for a gold medal or a bronze medal. So
while I agree with Steve that there's definitely countries that don't have hockey as obviously their number one sport, and there's not much.
All right, Italy, we love you, Italy, but I don't know if you should be included next time.
It could take a couple players. It could take a couple injuries. You just never know. So, yeah, this year's group stage may have been underwhelming, but you just never know. In 4 years, things can develop differently. Injuries can happen. Teams may not be as strong. Other teams get better. We just never know. Interest could change. And
you're not wrong. 2014 Sochi Olympics, every game was awesome.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire tournament. I was expecting the same kind of level of Sochi Olympics of okay, cool, NHL players are back. Every game is going to be electric, every game, and it just kind of was a letdown. And I'm not saying it wasn't good. I was kind of expecting it to be up here, and then in reality it was down here. So I kind of bummed myself out. It's more of my perspective thing, where it's my expectations were so high that it kind of just it never met it. So I have to come in next time with lower expectations, and hopefully they're blown out of the water. I don't know. I'm really hoping next Olympics it's a little better, and I don't feel bad about winning gold 3-on-3. I feel kind of guilty. I'll take the gold medal. I really will. I love beating Canada and at anything. I love it, but I feel it's kind of asterisk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3-on-3. How can you sit there and decide a gold medal game on
It
3
didn't
on
feel
3.
as solidified, especially
Yeah.
because the U.S. didn't have the best game against Canada. They got out early, pretty early 1-0 on an amazing individual effort by Boldy. But then the rest of the game, Canada was the better team, and we were able to basically squeak out a win. But
Hellebuck squeezed you out the win.
yes, yeah,
I mean,
and
fellas,
Hellebuck helped save you.
fellas, we definitely addressed it for sure. Like, the 3v3 definitely not the most ideal for both women's and men's too. So I mean, but
We'll see
take
next
what
time
you
around.
take what you can get. We'll see you next time, and hopefully, like we said, guys, hopefully they change their mindset and they go to 5-on-5. I think that would be much more entertaining. I agree with you all.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
during the gold medal game, some players were returning from the Olympics, I believe, and NHL teams started basically a little mini camp to kind of get players wrapped up. People really don't understand that 2 weeks is a long time to take a break, especially if you're not working out, if you're not really allowed to practice with the team, if it's an NHL shutdown. People really don't understand that like, when you're already used to going like every other night for hockey, it's quite a long time. So as the Bruins returned from the Olympics, Marco Sturm spoke with the media, and he discussed some of his focus, and he determined that during that camp that his focus was going to be on the penalty kill, which as of right now is 28th in the league. This number might be a little outdated, so I apologize. Is 76.4%. I believe that has gone up. But what hasn't really changed much is that Montreal, Florida, Tampa, and Boston are who comprise four of the top 5 penalty takers in the league. That's kind of crazy.
All in the Atlantic too. Again, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a style of play in the Atlantic.
I know we discussed this in an episode a little time ago, but it really is. It's just hard, dirty, close, tight checking hockey, and it gets dirty. It gets very chippy out of the blue. So
one thing I think Marco Sturm also brought up was the careless penalties. You know what I mean? His focus on trying to get the players to recognize situations a bit better. And he has historically said that, if it means saving a definite goal, he's okay with them taking the penalty, or a really high danger chance. He's okay with it because he would rather take the chance on the penalty kill. The only downside to that is if you're spending half the game on the penalty kill, obviously, guys, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to get tired. And out of those teams that I also just mentioned, guys, like the Bruins, PK is worse than all of them. So out of the top 5, those top 4 that I just mentioned, including Boston, and penalty takers, the Bruins PK is the worst amongst them.
Because they're on it so much.
Well, yeah, we are yep, that is true. We're also second most penalized team with 143 minors. I believe that has also gone up. So again, I apologize. These stats are just slightly outdated. In Florida, I believe, is still first. So I like the process that Marco Sturm is at least addressing the problem. We saw in the Columbus game that it took some effect. I believe we only had 1 penalty in that game, but I think in the Flyers, I think we had a couple, which is okay. But that's a lot better, right, guys, than what we've seen with, the 5 to 8 penalties in a game that really kill you.
It's an improvement. It's an improvement for sure. And, if you can work to avoid any of those careless penalties, then I think you're on a better path and playing better than you have for a lot of the season. And if you can, it's all about discipline, really. And if discipline is apparent, then you're going to get less of those sloppy penalties, and you're going to have to take them at times when you need to. So, but they do spend a lot of time on the PK.
That's the thing. It's just they spend too much time on the PK, and so no wonder why when you start getting 5th, 6th, 7th penalty of the game. Okay, cool. You're on the power play or you're on the penalty kill for a minute, and a goal goes in, and next thing you know, you're only up 1. Now you're level. Now you're down 1, and of course those stats on the those stats add up after a while. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, they had 7 penalties and they scored on 3 of them. And it was all the last 3. Like our PK would be pretty good if we didn't take the penalties 5, 6, and 7. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I genuinely feel that like our PK is good enough, but the egregious amount of penalties that we take makes the statistics look so bad, because usually the first couple penalties of a game they kill off no problem, which boosts it. But then again, like I just said, you get into 5, 6, 7, 8, you're done. Like you can't do it.
I will say it does depend, those first 1 or 2 penalties, like they kill off. Well, it does depend on who's in the box. Like, admittedly, Nikita Zadorov is one of the most important penalty killers that we have. He's great when he's the one not sitting in the box for 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So he's very paramount with that. And, it's nice to see until you looked at the Philadelphia Flyers game and then you're just like, yeah, it's a Zadorov penalty that he's just used to taking at this point. And it is what it is. And you just got to kill it. But whenever I see McAvoy, Zadorov, or Hampus Lindholm go to the box, I'm like, oh God, I'm like, so who slots into that? Maybe Mason Lohrei, or maybe the guys that really aren't, natural penalty killers got to step out there and do it. And so it's just very, very difficult to see Boston go on the penalty kill without, one of those 3 guys, on the ice that is capable to kill the penalty. And I think that's in large part the issue too as well. But it's a great thing that I think Sturm recognized that is the problem, or one of the problems that the Bruins currently face, as we go towards this very condensed schedule in March. I know this was kind of like a contested thing on Twitter, and fans kind of were split on this, in that they gave Swayman an extra day after returning back from the Olympics. So he did not play in the Columbus Blue Jackets game, and they rolled with Korpisalo, who, by the way, had a phenomenal game. Like, he was stunning in that Columbus Blue Jackets game. Absolutely phenomenal. And then you took to Twitter, and this is where you kind of have to be careful when you look at Twitter and Bruins fans, and, self-included, admittedly, that they said, oh, he has 8 million reasons to get acclimated. What bothers me with that is people don't understand that he played 1 game in the Olympics, and they really didn't practice, I don't think, all that much. So he really didn't get to see much game action. So I would rather not put in a cold goaltender.
Yeah, but it's what makes the Philadelphia game more disappointing in fans' eyes. But even though you can't really pin that too much on Swayman, I think there was more,
Nope.
The defensive issues and other problems.
Swayman had a good game.
Yeah.
Swayman had some really good consecutive saves, 3rd, 4th, 5th time chances, even saving them. Like, it was 2 stupid goals that actually went in, and then the empty net, right? Like 3-1 is the final score against Philly. But you had 1 really kind of dumb goal go in, and then you had another really dumb goal go in, even though we were out shooting them, I think 22-14 at that point, right?
Disgusting,
like we were getting the shots off it, but we weren't getting any bounces. Of course, Philly got the bounces. Again, 2 stupid, kind of ugly looking goals, but they went in, right? It's just, I don't put the Philly game on Swayman at all.
But again, seeing him take an extra day in his contract and all the drama that seems to sit around Swayman sometimes with Bruins fans, they get up in arms about that, and I don't think it's justified. Any of us would say it's not justified, but it was more, if anything, a former Bruins goalie helping make the difference in that game for the Flyers. Dan Vladar coming up huge and playing an amazing game as well.
If it was anything that Philadelphia Flyers game showed you, is that, yes, the Bruins defense has problems. The person that I wanted to call out for that was Henryuki Haru. He was on the ice, I believe, for both of those goals. I'm not going to really fault him for the TK goal. It was a bounce that just so happened to go there. And I was sick of the glazing of the ABC broadcasters. I was like, that was a perfect like, a perfect shot with intention to go off the boards. I'm like, okay, this is no. I'm like, you can't predict how that's going to fall. Like, that was just a really weird goal. It was a good play on TK to recognize where the puck fell, and it just went in. Not faulting Swayman for that one. I'm not going to really fault Yoki Haru for that one, but he was not really paying attention. I believe he was caught sleeping a little bit. He could have woken up a little bit there. But then the other goal, I mean, Yuki Haru is just the whole defensive structure out of position. No one pressured the puck carrier. Jamey Drysdale goes in and actually snipes one. It was a beautiful shot. You hate to say it, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Jamey Drysdale just rips that home, and the Bruins are caught sleeping on that play too. So it's just rough.
Yep. And I think the effort too wasn't really consistently there.
And it's what we've seen in road games, right, guys? You would see there's a difference between at home and away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great point, Jack, too. The away game woes continue. The Bruins' home record is, I believe, among the best in the league.
It's last time I checked, it was like 22-8-3 or 22-8-1. They have, I don't think they even have 10 regulation losses at home this season.
Yeah.
But they're 11-13 and something on the road. And
I don't know who you call or blame that on. But
I think it's just a team effort and effort and execution and they try. Okay. They're pro athletes. They're going to be, they get, this is what they're due. They're paid. They're trying, but but the execution isn't there. And you see more defensive breakdowns, maybe being too fancy or maybe a shaky goaltender performance here or there. Either way, kind of like what we've come to see, that road games remain to be a problem for a variety of weird reasons, but when you are in a 7-game playoff round or playoff series, you are guaranteed to play 2 games on the road. And if you start strong and then falter on the road, that can be an issue. And
especially when you don't have home advantage.
Exactly. If you start on the road and you shit away those first 2 games, all of a sudden, boom, you're down 0-2 series.
0-2. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm kind of convinced it's coaching because, right? Like people don't buy into this as like in the regular season as much as in the playoffs. And I've been literally told like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, no, it is that big of a deal. When you're matching lines and trying to put your best line against their best line to match it, that way it's a tie or a win, as opposed to let's get a good mismatch out there and make it happen. People really underestimate how far that can go, especially like in a situation of offensive zone face off and you need a goal and they put out their third line and you get the last change. You're putting out your first line.
Yep.
To get a
pivotal.
Goal.
It's pivotal.
And it's not even just in playoffs. It's in scrappy teams that do that when they need points, right? Fringe teams, they're playing playoff hockey 6 weeks before the playoffs even start. That's how they're thinking of it. That's how you see those swings and points and those consistency, of, hey, like this team's coming and moving another team out of wild card 2 spot, right? Like you need to start thinking about that. It's March. There's too many games and you don't have enough time. Now's the time you're going to have to start playing the mismatches. And it's a very important aspect in the game. And I just don't think that I'm not blaming Sturm, but I'm kind of blaming other coaching on the mismatches. And I think Sturm is letting them get away with it.
And you get a 2-day break right now. I just read a quick article kind of before we started recording, recapping some news, and it had said that this is the only time in March, and maybe for the rest of the season you might get another time or 2 once you come April, but at least for March, it's the only time where you're going to have 2 days off before you have a game. They're going to be playing a game every other night up until March 26th.
Yeah,
Said that.
it's
So
listen, that's not an easy schedule. No, it's
No.
not. And you just hope that this loss to Philly was not one that ends up biting them in the ass down the road, because Philly is below you. Now, mind you, Dan Vladar, wow, great game. He stoned everything. He played phenomenal. Tons of credit. I don't think
100%.
Philly wins that game without him. And
No.
again, a Bruins loss sucks, guys. It does, but you got to acknowledge good hockey. And my God, did he give the Philadelphia every reason to win that game? So huge credit to Dan Vladar on that one. Even bigger credit for Geeky pulling a Nathan McKinnon with that empty net, and that was just just a pain in the ass to see. But there's clearly things like that the Philly game show that the Bruins need to work on the small details, especially in the road game. My biggest piece was Mason Lowry coming off of TK that sent him in on that partial break that Swayman had to stonewall. Like you gotta have a better defensive IQ for that, and that's just the lay of the land. And then it was night and day when you look at some of the differences between Columbus and in Philly, in my opinion, where I guess I would argue Philly, with Dan Vladar kept you in, but it just seemed like the Bruins hockey style was more prominent in the Columbus game. But they got outshot. So it was just interesting. It was like the Bruins responded being outshot the way they were against Columbus the right way by shooting more in the Philadelphia game, but then they just were missing their chances. It was almost as if like they were passing up quality for quantity, and then it kind of bit them in the butt, which is weird. You know what I mean? Especially when you're going up against a team like Philadelphia, who themselves have been going through some struggles.
Yeah, well said.
And to be fair, I don't think the past two Bruins game have been good. Like, to be clear, like I'm genuinely feeling like they're off to a slow start after the break.
For goalies, they have been. I think Swayman and Korpisalo played.
I don't even think for goalies. I think for the whole team. Like, even more so, the most on the team is definitely the defense. Like, they're on a slow. Like, they just sat on the couch for 2 weeks and ate potato chips. Slow. Like,
sorry, Steve. What I meant to say was
offense is okay, but I have faith that they'll get into it again, because they 5-on-5, they're a pretty good team, and they get to play. It's just about getting more practice in, and getting into the motion again. I guess goalies, I have faith that they'll bounce back and get back into that routine. But that defense, man.
No, sorry. What I meant by that was, like, I feel like I agree with you that the offense is a little bit slow, the defense is a little slow, but I think the goalies are starting on time. I think Korpisalo started on time. I think Swayman started on time. Like, I think the only two complaints that we can't have right now are the way Korpisalo and Swayman played, because I think they gave you the opportunities to win both those games. And Korpisalo did win his game. Swayman unfortunately did not, but I'm not going to pin that on Swayman.
Yeah.
There were a lot of defensive breakdowns that I saw in Philly that it's just really hard. And Jack and I were actually at a Bruins alumni game today, and it kind of puts it in perspective for you. Like, we watch like some of these 40-plus-year-old gentlemen rip shots past a goaltender, and it kind of puts things into perspective for you. It's like, wow, like these guys are in their like 40-plus years, right? And they're still ripping it. Mm-hmm. Imagine what like a full-time game speed shot looks like for an NHL goaltender. It does like make you wonder, like, how much of it can you really blame if it's just a really good elite shot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to give credit to NHL goalies. They have missiles coming at them every single night, so they're tracking and reading of the puck, and being able to stop it is pretty impressive. And
you got to be crazy to do
it. yeah, no, you do, you absolutely do. And I think Swayman's half ice goal, while still isn't great, again, when we put it into these terms, I can say, okay, yeah, I get it. It doesn't look great still, but if he lost sight of it and it got tipped off someone from shot when it was shot, like, and the boards coloring messing it up, like, yeah, I can see how that goes in, and it's a very like 1 in a million sort of thing, but it can happen. So
Yeah, it happened, I believe, to Greg Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, guys. Yeah, is it garbage goal to live up? But you want to know what? Sometimes that happens. They don't ask how, right? They ask how many. That's the thing.
Amen.
And who came out with gold? The U.S.
Yeah, that's right. Suck it.
Go fuck yourself.
It is the same old story,
Haven't done that.
different day, that the Bruins are clearly in need of a solid RD2. We're seeing it, but we also notice still that they are in need of a solid top 6 scoring winger. That doesn't necessarily mean they need the second coming of Robert Thomas or anything like that, and but they need a solid individual. And so that brings us into our talk about our final trade deadline predictions. Every year, guys, around this time, names start getting dropped, with being linked to the Bruins or linked to other teams. There's rumors galore. You have to kind of parse through them and really understand and just try not to get wrapped up in the trade bait. So in all of these articles, and because a lot of them are opinion pieces and et cetera, et cetera. I recently put one out as well. Like, again, that's just strictly my opinion on who I think, and it's not associated with any rumors, but the Bruins have been linked historically to some names and recently, and I'm going to name them. And this list is also comprised of people who I think the Bruins should entertain. I'm just not going to identify which ones are which. I'm just going to give you the whole list. And for right defensemen, they've been tied to Justin Falk. No surprise, that's been known for quite some time.
Yep.
I think that they should be in on. They should try to look at Whitecloud. They've been linked to Mackenzie Weegar. Not a big fan. I think they should look at Braden Schneider. And then they've also been linked to Rasmus Ristolainen on the defensive end. And before we actually dissect all of these players, sorry?
That's a new one.
That is a new, well, it's newer. It's newer.
Yeah. More recent, as they say.
Yeah, as recent, as they say. Deal. And for the forward acquisitions, Bobby McMahon, that's just someone who I think, if they were to deal with
Imagine getting Toronto. Bobby McMahon. That'd be crazy.
Toronto's never trading with us ever again.
Again.
I know. No, there's no way.
I know. They're never going to do it unless we give them their first round pick back. However, these are just people I think that the Bruins should entertain, and Bobby McMahon is one of them. Matthias Michelli is another. And then reportedly, the Bruins have been linked to bringing back Jake DeBrusk. They've been linked to Connor Garland, Braden Shen, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and Owen Tippett.
Jordan Kyrou, what are you on about?
Yeah, what did I say? Kyrou? Same shit.
No, I'm just.
I'll write a formal letter of apology to Jordan for mispronouncing his name.
I know he's really gonna get offended when he sees this fan Bruins podcast.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, this bum, while he makes, I don't know, definitely much more money than I do, north of $7 million, I think.
Yeah.
And I make $5, comparatively speaking. So, he wins. Trust me, he wins. Guys, out of all those players I mentioned, it was quite a lot. Are there any that really strike you as yes? And are any that strike you as absolutely not? And then you can name some that, how do you feel like, I would for the right price? So it's a strong no, a strong yes, or I would for the right price.
I would with Jordan Kyrou or Connor Garland at the right price. I think they fill a need which you have. I'd rather Kyrou than Garland. Garland has been a pick washed over for us for many years because he's from Massachusetts. But I think Kyrou brings a little bit more than him. One other thing I'll say is, for the right price, I wouldn't hate DeBrusk coming back, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, you could see
Steve just did a celebratory.
He's
like this one, like, yeah,
guys. For once, Steve is like ecstatic. Like, he's not going, no, I don't think so. He's like, he's
bring
all
the
for
prodigal son
he's
back
all for it. And so I think for the right price, I wouldn't hate it. I just, with our current lineup as well, I don't know who you would maybe move around. I think, unfortunately, like, maybe you'd have to, switch out Arvidsson or Middlestat maybe to get him some reps. That being DeBrusque to see what it would gel. But yeah, I don't know. Like I wouldn't move Mitten over DeBrusque. Like no way. If you're taking Mitten out of the lineup, I don't think they would do that. But like that's someone I wouldn't want to see come out. So
Just a
for right,
quick note on these. Some of
yeah,
these people do have trade protection. I will admit that. I believe Jordan Kyrou has some. Robert Thomas, I believe, has a no trade clause. Jake
sure.
DeBrusque has a full no move clause this and next season.
So he'd really have to sign off and say, yes, I want to come
He'd
back to
have
the
to sign
Bruins.
off on that.
Yeah. So
I
I don't know
believe
about that.
Falk.
He wants to get out of there, though. Vancouver is horrible. It's a sinking ship, and there's going to be a sinking ship that's at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean for the next 4 to 7 years. Okay, they're on the way down. Way down. Okay, he wants out. Everybody on Vancouver wants out. They're going to a full rebuild. That's it. That is what it is. I'm just throwing that out there. Just saying.
It's so funny because I played that before at graduations, circumstance, and then when my graduation came around, I didn't get to hear it because of COVID. But besides that, yeah,
Steve has a good point about Vancouver. I'll give him that. Okay, listen, Vancouver is a sinking ship. It's been rumored anyone except Philip Roenick is for sale for the most part.
they're not gonna have a team come the summer. It's gonna be all these open roster spots and no one there.
There's speculation Elias Pettersson is willing to waive his I believe no move clause to go to the right spot for a right start. But the thing is, Vancouver does not want to retain on that, and I don't think they should either. It's a long contract, and you're not going to retain any piece of that $11 million contract. You just got to find the right partner who wants to take it.
Yeah, and if you're losing him, then it's all lost hope for Vancouver. If Pettersson wants to go now, then
you two are both okay with taking Jake DeBrusque back for the right price. I think Steve would just take Jake DeBrusque back for a reasonable price, not the right price. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's a little bit of a difference between those two verbs right there.
I just think he brings more speed as well, and it would you get to, reunite a former player with his with a team that he, gave a lot to for many years, but also had inconsistency issues as well. And yeah, I don't know at the moment what he might fit in for this current lineup. I'd have to kind of really look and study and see, like, who wants to come out? Who are we going to fit in? I'm going to make this work. But I don't hate the idea of it.
I think a reasonable price and the right price are fractions off of each other.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I think they're a lot closer than you make it seem, right? Like the right price might be a little bit cheaper, I guess. But I think when you're working a trade deal, it needs to be a reasonable trade, right? I think reasonable is argumentatively a better outlook for everybody because it's not just a reflection of the Boston Bruins organization. It's more of like it's on players, and it's like, okay, are we going to be able to work with other people in the future? Are we going to burn bridges, or are we going to just hold people, strong arm them for the bag, right? Like, I think being reasonable is better for long-term business success, right? I think that's how we get to fleece Toronto every year for a trade, by being reasonable. But to be honest with you, I think you could trade away a piece or two to Vancouver to get salary moved and open up a couple slots to get Jake DeBrusque in. And
I just have
reasonable that, and I understand where you're coming from. I just got to put my 2 cents out there. Is he will increase the speed in which we need, because the only person that actually has speed is Arvidsson, and we need another like winger that can actually produce speed and
exactly
pressure in the. Well, actually, it's not even sustained pressure. It's a sustained forecheck to create the pressure in the offensive zone. It'll balance. It'll give you at least 2 lines of speed or more speed for it, and it'll balance it out. I'm not saying he's a perfect player. I'm not saying that he's going to be the best pickup or the best player there is. He will contribute offensively, right? He might not score, but he might start being more of a playmaker and getting more assists, but also sustaining and creating a forecheck and pressure, right? I think that's what kind of Boston needs right now. And I think since Vancouver is such a joke right now and such a sinking ship that you can make a reasonable deal with that.
Steve, you make good points, Vancouver, and like DeBrusk.
I got one more.
He's got one more.
Jabusk.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
He's the only draft pick that Don Sweeney actually hit on. He's the only one. 2015.
And he meant 2015. I'm assuming. I'm assuming you mean 2015.
2015, and yes, okay. Like for he's one of what 4, 5 picks that Don Sweeney got that actually worked out. He's
in the first round. Yes,
he's a very limited pool type player for Don Sweeney, right? Like he's there, and I don't think he's the best, but I think he adds reasonable talent and speed to your team, which you need.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't see it happening. I don't see DeBrusk waiving his no move clause to come back to Boston. I think the circumstances upon which he left were not great. I think Boston did try to sign him. He said no, thank you. He tested free agency, went to Vancouver. Good for him. I was looking on Twitter and I saw something really interesting, and it was Andrew Mangiapane for Jake DeBrusk straight up. And I was like, that might actually not be bad. Because those players, I think, would actually swap well with the respective teams. And I think DeBrusk wants to win. I just don't think he wants to do it with Boston. Yes, his familiarity with Pasternak and Zacha. I just don't think he adds any additional value to the team than what Casey Middlestat, Zacha, and Arvidsson provide you. I would much rather a guy like Jordan Kyrou, Connor Garland, Brock Besser, or Owen Tippett that just have a little bit more versatility to their game outside of just being a speedster and being a secondary Victor Arvidsson to the team. That being said, is it out of the realm of possibility that Jake DeBrusk, comes back? No. Of course, there's always a chance. There's also always chances that something can come so far out of left field that we can't predict. I just don't think Jake DeBrusk is going to be that person. You know what I mean?
And Arvidsson is arguably a worse Jake DeBrusk. If they're the same type of player, Jake DeBrusk is better. I wanted to.
Arvidsson goes to the corners. I think Arvidsson is a little bit more physical.
He is okay. Arvidsson's a little bit more physical for sure. I'll do that, but his stats this year, DeBrusk's stats this year are terrible because he's on a terrible team where
they're similar to Arvidsson.
Well, yeah, they're similar to Arvidsson on a team that's actually trying to win. Vancouver is terrible and nobody's trying to win. Nobody's trying to score. Everyone's quit. That's you watch a Vancouver game and it is so apparent that this team is quit and they're ready for golf. And it's March 1st. It just turned March 1st. Listen, crazy.
You guys bring up a great case to bring him back. I'm just saying, for me, I just don't see him waiving his no movement clause, and I don't want to take him at $5.1 million. I would take him at $4 million, but if they would be willing to retain $1 million, but then you have to pay for the retention. That's just my only piece, and I just don't think DeBrusk really wants to come back to Boston. And unfortunately, it's his say. You know what I mean? If he's open to moving and Vancouver wants to move him, the issue is DeBrusk has to sign off on it. And that's also the issue with Tyler Myers that they're having right now. They need to get Tyler Myers to sign off on something. So, and that's providing to be a challenge in of itself. For me, guys, I'll just run down the list and just real quickly do it because I made it. And so it's just gonna be easy. Falk for the right price. It's got to be for the right price. Right now, it's way too high. I just from what I've heard, way too high. White Cloud, yes. Uyghur, no. The term on that contract is abysmal. No. Braden Schneider, yes. He's 24, right defenseman. He's going to be an RFA at the end of the season. Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Let's take a spin on him. Ristolainen, he played 19, I think, or 21 games this season. Got to be for the right price. Gotta come with retention. Same thing with Falk. Bobby McMahon, yeah, you can probably get him for cheap. Toronto's likely going to move him because I don't think he's going to resign because he's not going to resign cheap. Matthias Micheli, I would take a flyer on him. I just don't think he works. Jake DeBrusk, I already said no, so no. Connor Garland, for the right price. Braden Shen, for the right price. Robert Thomas, it's yes, but for the right price.
I'm noticing a theme.
Jordan Kyrou, no. I think he's just too expensive. Owen Tippett for the right price, and that rounds it out for me. Like I like Jordan Kyrou, but for me, it's just like I don't think you're gonna get a good price for him. Like, you know what I mean? I think St. Louis on that fire sale, they're just like, you know what I mean? It's too it's hard to put into words. I think his price is just going to be too high for the value he's actually going to give you. Refute it. Fight me on it, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a great case for Brandon Schneider. He's 24 in RFA. You know that molds really well with for us right now, and the Bruins needs and what we can work with. Falk, yeah, you gotta bring that asking price down a little bit.
A lot of it. A lot of it.
Yeah, I'll take your word on it. And yeah, and if if Kyrou's too expensive as well, then so be it. But I think regardless, there are a lot of names out there, and as we inch closer and closer to the trade deadline, we're gonna see who is likely paired with who, and which teams are in on players and which ones are out. And I hope that even though it's said that Sweeney's gonna look at both sides of the coin, trying to add additions to make a playoff push or soft selling to kind of regain what you have, get some value, save some money, and be able to make more acquisitions in the offseason. I hope he takes a realistic shot at what is available in the market for right-handed D and what is for forward acquisitions. We've, I think, said that a lot leading up to this. So I hope he gives it a solid look. But if it's not in the cards and it's not available, then you work with what you have, and you maybe just try and play out the rest of the season as hard and tough and as physical as you can, and you get ready for next season. But again, I think we all want to see this team make a push. So
yeah, I'm with you. I want to see this team make a push, but also one name that just screams me, Bobby McMahon. No, no.
He is speedy. He's very fast, and he has a great tenacious game. But I don't know if
you're absolutely right. But he's a rental.
Yeah. I don't know if that
is my biggest issue with it. Is
cheap rental,
cheap-ish rental for right now. But going forward for next season, he's not going to be a cheap rental. That's my issue with it. He potentially cheap, but realistically going to be an investment, right? Where you're gonna have to give up I wouldn't say a ton of capital, but enough capital where it might screw you later down the road.
Right? You can get a second for him.
You can get a second for him, but what I'm saying is he's going to eat up enough capital where you can't really make a splash where you need to. You know what I mean? That's the issue. It's instead of having, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Instead of having, 14 mil, now you have only 10 mil. That's you know what I mean? That's where I'm kind of looking at where we need a splash really bad on certain things. I'm just not totally interested in rentals at all this season. We're not in a position to win a Stanley Cup. We're not in a position to go for a deep run. So every single rental for a year is out. I need guys with term. That way we can build some buy-in, create that culture, and make a significant push next year.
In the coming years.
That's what I need. Yeah. In the coming years. This season is not this season is an identity season. We need to build back the Bruins identity. We need to bring back hey, we're going to be better. We're making a push.
And they've done that so far. I think, and that's in that way, your season has been a success. But now you need to build on it. So
exactly. And we need to get some more talent in. We need to make people believe that Boston is a place where they can potentially win a championship.
And we have along the way.
So then with you,
Exactly.
Steve, then you would be preferential to Zach Whitecloud, who has a couple of years in term and he's younger, and Braden Schneider for the right defensive side because they're younger. And
Yes.
the benefit to Braden Schneider is that he's an RFA, so he's not a rental. You have his rights.
Yeah.
But the question is cost, like, because
Yep.
he's younger, you have to pay for those, like,
I'd pay
UFA
him, though.
years.
I'd pay him. It is so apparent that we need a second right D,
Like
so
bad.
and to lock one down for a few years at a good price, I'm okay with that because at
Okay.
least our top 4 D would be a little bit more solid for next season. That way, we're not pissing away wins in Philly where they shouldn't win, right? Like that's
100%.
that's how I'm feeling with it. It's just we need some guys with a couple years. We need to get I'm more White Cloud is okay. I'm not sold on White Cloud, but the type of contract that he's bringing, yes, right. Where you got him for a couple years, you can get him for a little bit cheaper, and he fills his role, right? Like that's like there's aspects of him that I like, but it's just I'm not totally sold on him just yet.
Well, if you think of it this way, your top 3 defensemen right now are Lindholm, McAvoy, and Zadorov. No question. There's no question.
I would even go. I would. Are you putting them in order from like 1 to 3 that you or you
No,
just
I'm not doing that. And I know you're about to mention Aspero, and I agree. I
Okay.
agree. He's absolutely making a case. But I think White Cloud, being a number 4 is not bad. I think that's good. If he's your number 4, I think it's pretty good. Aspero definitely exceeding expectations, 100%. We need to give a ton of credit to Aspero. He's amazing. He's been amazing. He's been a gem find, and this year he's just been great. I think right now with his talent level, and you saw it, yesterday, the second they put that Lindholm McAvoy pair together, McAvoy scored a goal. You need to put that together. That is your first defensive pair. It works. Why you ever moved away from that was ridiculous.
You want to
Get
try and
over
balance.
yourself.
You want to try and balance out a little bit because you have defensive struggles and your D is not solid. But
Trust
I
me, Jack,
think
I'll give them something to balance. Don't worry about it if they keep doing this bullshit.
no, I know. Like I think ideally, no, you have to have those two together. You do, and then that way you can build out someone who's beefy and solid with Zadorov, and then you can have your third pair as Aspero and whoever else you want to put. It's not going to be Lori. It's not going to be Yoki Haru. But I think if you compare someone with Aspero, all of a sudden your top 6 for defensemen
are solid.
Pretty good. Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
On the offensive side, so you guys, actually, let's look at the defensive side. So Ristolainen.
I could be convinced for the right price.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I haven't seen him play or heard of him much the last few years. But if he fits the mold and it comes at the right price, and Bruins see him as potential, then yeah. But
we need a warm body out there. Mm-hmm. Like we need something out there. Like whatever's going on right now is not working.
No, it's
not working.
Is there anyone, guys, that I did not mention on the list that you feel like the Bruins should also entertain in the league?
Vinny Trocheck.
Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. But if we can't get someone like Kyrou, there's no freaking way we're getting Vinny Trocheck unless we
the reported asking price is quite substantial for him.
And deservingly so. He is now an Olympic gold medalist. He has been a solid top 6 winger for the last 5+ years, maybe going
great
on a
two-way
decade.
Guy too.
Great two-way forward.
He's gonna end up a Florida Panther somehow. They're gonna work some devil magic accounting.
He already has been, right? He has been, so he's gonna go back to them.
He did mention, or it was reported by, I believe, by Elliot Friedman, that Vinny Trocheck's preference is to stay as east, or to stay in the east, not as east as possible. I believe that was Tyler Myers with respect to the west, but I believe Vinny Trocheck's preference is to stay in the east.
Okay. Yeah, that's where you want to be. It's where hockey is shining right now. The West has a few of its juggernauts, and other than that, so
I'm sorry, Jack. What was that? Can you do that again?
That's just the West summed up outside of the Stars, Avalanche, Wild, and Vegas.
Yeah.
But the Sharks, apparently, I was just looking at the NHL app. They rallied past the Jets, and now they are a point out of a wild card spot again.
Hey,
So,
man.
go Sharks! Woo!
I'm going to say this. Don't sleep on the Sharks. I think they have a good goaltender. I think their forward group is getting there.
And they have
They're-
Macklin,
they're-
Frick, and Celebrini.
Their biggest weakness, in my opinion, is the right side on their defensive end. And if they can solidify that really strong, they can make a playoff run. I don't know if they'll win the cup or if they'll make a deep run, but they'll at least give fans hope that where they're willing to make the moves to get right back into it.
Sounds like the Bruins in a way.
Similar. Except
Similar.
their offense is younger and it's gonna be dominant for a while. That Sharks offense is gonna be spectacular.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on par with Montreal in a few years. Like it's gonna be crazy.
You got Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini leading the way, and a bunch of other young
Victor
guns.
Eklund, or
Eklund
William
as well.
Eklund. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I think it's William or Victor. I can't remember. But yeah,
it's William,
it's good. Yeah, wow, holy smokes.
Like, you know what I don't want to see happen? Like, for the listeners, we in our group chat, I sent over back to the whole topic of like, hey, be careful of what you're reading because some of it is actually legit and some of it is absolutely shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You did put this in the group chat, and I literally said,
chat, I
ew.
put in an absolute shit deal. Like, what I don't want to see is like Bruins give up, a Patra, Lori, Middlestat, their 26th first round pick, their 26th second round pick, and their 27th first round pick for Parenko and Thomas. Like, I don't want that type of splash.
I just want to mention this. That can't happen. That trade can't happen. So whoever made the trade
is a moron.
I showed it. I literally showed it to Cam earlier
mean,
at the game. I showed it to Cam and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" He was like, "That's not mathematically possible."
Yeah, they mathematically cannot do it.
Yeah.
It would break like the NHL cap rules. They can't do it.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like there's a lot of shit out there, and be careful. Because I read that and I was like, okay, we're only offloading $2 million, but we're gonna add on 14 million.
Yeah, 14 million.
$14 million like of our cap that we don't have. Okay, like there's a lot of shit, and it's like, oh, and it's just big headlines of like, oh, let's make a splash at a number 1C. It's like, do we really need a number 1C? We got
for this team right now. No, we're not contending for a cup. We're not even contending for an Eastern Conference championship. I would be so freaking surprised if we make it to the second round this year.
On top of that, we have two pretty good centers right now, and we got Hagens coming up. So, we're all saturated at center. Like we don't.
Yeah.
Like clearly, this person who made this trade deal does not realize what the needs of the Boston Bruins are, and they're just making shit up and throwing it against the wall.
Other fans think we need to go for a center. We don't. We don't.
Holy
guys.
smokes.
We're good.
I will give you guys a scenario that I'm okay with Robert Thomas. I am okay with trading Dean Lecherneau, the 2026 Boston pick, and the 2027 Florida pick for Robert Thomas. I am okay with moving those three assets.
I mean, actually,
for Robert Thomas.
He's younger than I thought. He's only like, what, 26, right?
He's 26.
Okay.
I'm okay if they would be willing to accept that. I am okay with it. But then you would have to move money out. That's the problem. The money is the big issue there, and you would still need to fill your RD2 hole.
And Dean
because Robert Thomas's contract value is good.
And then Dean's going to be lighting up the NHL in a few years, and we're going to be like, what the fuck are we doing? But I don't know, man.
But the money with a lot of those St. Louis players is the big issue with Boston right now. Unless we offload Korpisalo as well, which I do not see happening.
Yeah, I know DiPietro had to step in the Columbus game because Jonas Korpisalo got called off by the trainer real quick to make sure that he was okay.
On the topic of that,
and he looked good, but I don't think that's someone.
Does he have to clear waivers now? By the way,
they assigned him to Providence. I think there was a special case that they did not need to assign him to waivers. And I can't remember the exact reasoning, but no. But if DiPietro was called up Normally, I believe yes, but I believe you only get a certain amount of emergency call. I don't know the exact rule. I'm just being presumptuous, but there was a way they circumvented him from not having to clear waivers, to my belief.
Okay.
I could be wrong, and I did, so please don't quote me on that, but I believe he did not need to clear waivers this go around.
Everyone
Because of
go
the
and find the
circumstance.
answer and then tweet at Cam.
Yeah, tweet me at Goosey. Let's start the conversation. I'm okay
At
if I'm wrong with it,
Goosey
dude. Hey,
At
I
Goosey
said
Goose.
it, guys. I said it. I might be wrong on it. I can't speak to it, but it's from what I've read and what I saw, I don't believe he had to clear waivers this time around. But I believe if he gets called up again, yes, he would.
Oh, it's probably because like Olympic break and one of our goalies.
Yeah.
They
Then
they
keep
might have
streaming the
had
time.
some circumstances that allowed it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha. You know what though? I think Korpisalo has been playing pretty decently over the past month.
He's definitely got more consistent when we were talking about before, where it's like, dude, you got to be playing up
Yep.
to a certain standard.
And you
if
know
you're
what
gonna be
though?
playing
That makes his
3
trade
million.
value be more increased. Where it's like, okay, like he kind of locked it in. He knows what he's doing. Like he can back up other goalies. For me, Chicago is ringing a bell because Spencer Knight is playing out of his tree, but he can't do it all by himself, right? Like anytime they put their backup in, it's just terrible. It's like there's a couple there's probably 5 teams that need a know what you type a type of player that what you're going to get consistently wise that we could probably offload to because they got some cap space and we need to get rid of that $3 million contract bad. Like
how about this? I'll put it to you this way. You know what would make my trade deadline conservative but good? You go get White Cloud, and then you go get Bobby McMahon. You get a left wing that you're not going to have to pay a whole bunch for, unless the asking price is too high. You're going to have to pay a little bit for White Cloud. It's going to have to probably be Matthew Patra and a pick. Like ultimately, you're not going to get a fucking Rasmus Anderson deal for White Cloud. That's just not happening. If they're asking for that, they're blowing smoke out of their ass. But if you actually acquired those 2 players, I think you're better defensively for sure. You have another left wing, so you're a little bit, you can spread that out a little bit more. Maybe put Middlestat with Lindholm and Pasternak, and then you put McMahon with Zaka and Geeky, and you move Arvidsson down to the third line, and you have Jeannot, Minton, and Arvidsson. For some divine reason, I'm attached to that line. I just feel like something about that screams it might be good.
I don't know.
It can be.
I think you're trying to convince yourself of something. And the rest of us to believe it too.
No, you're right. That could be it. No, you're absolutely right. That could be it. I'm not gonna deny that. But I think that would be a decent and conservative trade deadline.
I'll do you one better. I will agree with that if who'd you say?
Bobby McMahon and Zach Whitecloud.
If McMahon comes with at least a 1-year extension.
Sure. Okay, fine.
Like that's what I need out of that type of deal to make it like okay.
Sure.
Because the whole point of it is like, oh, we're going to get a rental for a top 6 forward to make our team better just to get fucked in the offseason. Like I can't do that, right? Like I need something because the whole point of this season is to
you
make
guys said he was a rental, and then you wouldn't want to take him on, but so then you need some sort of
you need something. You need at least a year, maybe 2 years, right? Like you need to figure out like something on top of that to make sure we can keep some of these guys together and see if they're the right piece, right?
And I agree with you, Steve. I agree with you there that the Bruins should absolutely avoid any unnecessary rentals. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. Bobby McMahon is a little bit of a risk, so I think that lightens the price a little bit. That's why I say it's conservative. And if he comes with an extension, great. That I agree with you there. Yes.
What would you give up for him, though?
He's having a good year. You're probably looking a second round. I would give him a second and a fourth.
But you need to get rid of some capital, man.
I think
you can take him. You can actually take him at his current price without breaking anything, I believe.
I agree, but here's the thing: you need to get rid of some capital if you want White Cloud. So, like,
Oh,
you need to start moving some pieces around in a
I
deal to make it a lot easier for it to go through. Right?
I
That's
think you could get White Cloud for Patra
Lori.
and Lowry, and maybe a third, maybe. But I think at that point you're overpaying
I think at that point you're overpaying. Like, take
because you're
Patra
giving
and take,
giving them 2 young guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
one immediate replacement and one extra to see what they can do with it.
Yeah,
And they're young.
So-
and I think Matthew Patra will be good on no matter what team he plays on, except for the Boston Bruins. Like,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
yeah.
It sucks
Now-
because he doesn't have a spot. He's an NHLer, but he needs a roster.
Now, if you were going to go balls to the wall buyer, well, then now you're talking Robert Thomas.
Yeah.
But you got to move money out. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they can somehow make the money work. You're looking at Robert Thomas, and I'm going to bring up Zach Whitecloud because if you're going to make the money work, that has to be the other piece. Because you can't bring Justin Falk into the fold with that. He just makes too much money unless St. Louis, retains 50%. That's just all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So let's just assume actually that. So we get Robert Thomas and Justin Falk. Justin Falk retained at 50%. Okay. So now you have to clear $10 million. Let's just say they found some miraculous way to do it in some capacity without breaking really much of the roster. And then I think that's your balls to the wall buy. I think that's your best case. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that that's your best case. I said that's your like real ideal top of the line trade deadline, securing that if you were a contender. And I think if you really wanted to approach it conservatively, you would go with a deal similar to what I proposed with Bobby McMahon and White Cloud. Getting some getting some players that you need for reasonable prices.
Yeah.
That's the crux of what I'm trying to get at, or what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. Gotcha. That makes sense.
As long as it benefits the Bruins at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Jack and Steve are just like, whatever, man. I just want to win a hockey game. Just want to win the cup.
No, I'm seriously
I mean,
frustrated by the defense, but by like we're actually doing well in the game, and then the defense just lets in everything, or they go on penalties. Like
I know it
it's
needs
just
to be
sloppy.
fixed.
It needs to be fixed.
Yeah, guys. Any comments with respect to the trade deadline before we move to this week's Big Bad Bruin? I know we only had 2 games, but we're going to continue on with the tradition here.
I think with the position that they're in right now, I mean, it would be awesome to see them make acquisitions at right D and forward. Maybe realistically, they only make additions at one of them, and if they do, please let it be on the defensive end. It needs, as Thanos said, it needs correction, and it does. It needs some fixing and more to it. So if you can add something there, I'd be happy for that trade deadline. I would like to see more additional moves and allow you guys make great trade packages. I would love to see those come to fruition. But if anything, just make an acquisition on the right hand D in the back end, please. We need it.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of the year. I love trade deadline week because it gets crazy in the NHL. Like, it gets crazy, and I'm super here for it. I'm excited. I think Sweeney will fail if we don't pick up a right D. Like,
yep.
I'm begging the hockey gods. I'm begging God. I'm begging anyone who will listen to me that Don Sweeney needs to get one thing and one thing only, and that's a right defenseman. Like, at the bare minimum. Like,
exactly.
That's what we need. He needs to pull the trigger on it and make something happen because we are so bad on defense. And it's ruining my nights. It's ruining my weeks. Like, I'm sick.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong, guys. The group chat, it's tough to see at times.
It's tough to watch at times, and I'm sorry you guys have to bear witness, but like you'll witness me. Like, I can't help it. I can't help it that I'm this way. I see bad hockey and I just have to point it out. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I need. That's it.
Steve, sometimes I hope the Bruins lose just so we can get this kind of entertainment from you. So the part of me is just like selfish and be like, I kind of hope the Bruins lose this game that they should obviously win just so I can see Steve like blow up our phone. Just go,
melt
do you
down.
believe this? This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I haven't.
I
He's
get
like, I had such a
Bad
great
enough.
day. I had such a
And
great day.
Zadorov's 8th penalty has totally killed my vibe. Yeah, no, trust me, I've been there. It's bad. Like
one of these episodes, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna leak our group chats, and we'll show you guys the stuff that we send to one another in the form of pure
To an
entertainment.
extent. To an
To an
extent.
extent.
Because there's some stuff that could, because
Jack
you guys know, I won't say it, but there's something in there that I have sent to you guys that cannot see the light of day.
Why do you have to say it like that? First of all, that sounds so disturbing.
so bad.
And it is not exactly
Listen,
what anyone
listen,
is ever thinking.
Listen, I had to
Why
say
do
it.
you
I
even
had to say it.
say it like that?
Because
Like,
you
what's
want to
wrong
leak our
with you?
group chat, and in group chats there's stuff that can't be
Like,
seen.
Yeah, someone's gonna be listening to this in the car and be like, "Oh, okay, so they're that kind of podcast."
Oh no! Oh, why did I say that? It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Fine. It's fine. Everything's
It's fine. We're all fine here. How are you? I'm having fun. All right, guys. Going on to the big bad Bruin. We only had 2 games this week. A little bit of a small sample size. We did come back from the Olympics, so we're taking all that into consideration. For me, I'm going to make it pretty quick. Jonas Corpusalo was lights out in Columbus. Phenomenal performance. Hard not to give him a ton of credit in that game after coming back with a bronze medal in the Olympics. And I just felt he deserved it. Had Swayman gotten the win in Philadelphia, he would have been it for me with the amount of saves he made that were spectacular in his gold medal win. But for me, Jonas, congratulations. You're my big bad Bruin.
For me, it's Victor Arvidsson. It's kind of tough to pick one this week with the small sample size. I think, it's either I would have gone with Corpy as well, or someone like Arvidsson. He showed up also as well against Columbus. He came out of the gates firing, and he's continuously playing a lot of consistent, tenacious hockey. He is our fastest forward, and I just love to see him muck it up in front of the net and shoot the damn puck, because when he does, it's a ringer. So I'm a big Arv fan, and I would hate to see him go in a trade package at the trade deadline. We'll have to wait and see come Friday. I hope he stays. If he goes, I hope we get good value and a good player and retention from him. But yeah, love me some RV.
For me, I'm going to go with McAvoy. I think he looked good playing with I can't even think of his name. I'm so tired right now.
Aspero?
You just saw Steve go through a malware malfunction right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I totally blanked on it. I think McAvoy he's been locked in since the Olympics, and I think his Olympics were really good, and I think he's just carried that over back to leading, so to say, the Bruins on the defensive end, and like kind of setting the tone and playing by example. And he scored when we needed him to score. Like he's stepping up into the right things, but also it's only been 2 games, so I feel like this is just kind of, hey, you won gold, you carried over that energy, and you weren't hungover for your games, and you got a gold star. You know what I mean?
He also had it was some crazy stat that he had the longest point streak or something in amount of games since Ray Bourque. I don't know. Don't quote me on that either, but it was something that he had tied Ray Bourque. So that's awesome.
It's crazy,
guys. Excellent selections for this week's Big Bad Bruin. We're gonna pick up the predictions next episode as we gather ourselves back and get ourselves into the swing of things. So stay tuned for that next week. Also, this Friday, for if you guys are interested, Don't Puck with Media will be doing a live show for the trade deadline. I believe that will start around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and run till about 3 or 4 as we digest the 2025-2026 NHL trade deadline. So please come and join us on Friday if you have the time, or just tune in. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this week's episode. Go check out don'tpuckwithmedia.com for all of our blogs and much more. Connect with us on Twitter, Bluesky, TikTok, YouTube, and through our website. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of our platforms. And as always, guys, we love you, and go Bruins.